Hi all, welcome to another video from Belong. Today I want to talk to you about transition objects. So for those of you who don't know, a transition object is something that you might give to a child from your home to take into school for the day. It's an object that's there to remind the child of the safety and security of your house and your relationship, so that they can begin to feel safer in their school environments as well. Most of my work is with fostered and adopted children, and many of them really struggle with being at school and with all of the classroom changes, lots of different adults around. They struggle with their peer relationships, and they struggle with learning a lot of the time as well. And so these are objects that are there to help them remember that they have a mum or a dad at home who loves them and cares for them and will be there for them at the end of the school day. So at the end of last term, I ended up with a number of parents contacting me and saying that they felt really frustrated. They had introduced attachment objects with their children to help them cope with the end of term. And they'd done some brilliant work around these objects, really made the objects very personal for the children, spent a lot of time talking to them and helping them create strategies about managing their school day. In each case, they found that the child went into school feeling okay, but came out of school really not happy. And the reason for that was that teachers removed those transition objects. In 3 of those cases, the teachers had been made aware of the transition objects prior to the child going in. But even so, the children were seen as fiddling with the object, and it was seen as a distraction to the work that was ongoing. And so they were removed. And you know, when teachers remove transition objects, what they essentially do is remove that child's safety net. That thing that helps them to feel okay in an environment that actually they really are struggling with. And this was a problem that I encountered as a parent as well. So all 3 of my boys used transition objects in schools with varying degrees of success. All 3 of them experienced those transition objects being removed from them. Sometimes that was really frustrating, you know, especially when I'd done a lot of work with the schools to help them understand why those objects were so important. But regardless, they were removed. And so we had to really think about an appropriate thing that we could send into school that would help our kids and that wouldn't end up being confiscated from them. And eventually we came up with it. And for 8 years, my eldest son used this transition object with a great amount of success, and it was never, not once, confiscated from him. So let me tell you what it is. So the object is a hanky. Yeah, this is not actually my son's hanky because, well, after 8 years of use, you probably don't want to see what it looks like now. But it is just a very simple hanky. But the trick was that we sprayed it with this. Now this is what my kids now call mummy perfume. Okay, so very early on in our time fostering them, I realised that scent was incredibly important to them. They really noticed different smells, which isn't the case for me. I don't really pick up on smell a lot. So I decided that I would just wear one perfume, and that this perfume would be used to help the boys associate the smell with me and hopefully to feel safe with that smell around as well. So every day for like 8-9 years I wore this perfume, except on date nights. I was not allowed to wear mummy perfume on date nights. So my boys really associated this with being at home, with being with me, and they used to really cuddle up and like to sort of sniff my neck and smell the smell. So we would spray this on this, okay? And then my son would take this into school and he'd just tuck it into his jumper or his blazer, and he'd be able through the day to have a sniff as needed. And no teacher ever realised that it was his transition object. We did once have a parents' evening where one of his teachers said that she recommended that I took him to the doctor, and I asked her, well, why? And she said, well, he just seems to be continually sniffing. All the way through the day, he's getting his hanky out and blowing his nose. And she saw this as being very distracting, but still hadn't removed the hanky from him. Probably didn't want to touch it, to be honest. And so he was kind of looking at me like, oh my goodness, am I in trouble here? Am I being told off? And so I kind of gently touched him to reassure him, and we carried on with the parents' evening. And then as we left and we walked towards the car park, I said to him, you know what, sweetheart, I don't think I realised just how hard school is for you. If you're getting your hanky out all the way through the day, enough for your teacher to notice, then that tells me that things are really, really difficult for you, that you're really struggling. And that opened up a conversation that was then really helpful for us to understand just how hard school was for him. So this is my recommendation, is to find a way of bringing scent into your transition object. So you may have a young person who doesn't think that having a hanky is very cool. That's okay. My younger son actually would not be seen dead walking around with a hanky on him. So what we did then was use the perfume to spray the cuff of his blazer. And so then he could just very, very carefully just do that through the day as and when he needed to. So I hope that's really helpful for you. And I know lots of you have some great ideas out there about how to help your kids feel more safe in school. So please do just pop a comment just below and let me know your thoughts, because I'd love to hear them. Okay, thanks guys. Bye.